It's called the 5 things that we cannot change. And David Rico says that acceptance is like turning around in the saddle in the direction that the horse is going. See? So, because most of us are riding backwards sometimes against life, aren't we? You know, and it just keeps going and you're going backwards. And so this talk then really is about turning around in the saddle and going with the flow. You know, just kind of accepting what comes to you. You know, what comes to you in the moment, you're okay with it. You know, there's something there for you to learn. You know, going with the flow of life helps us to accept the blessings of life, right? Going with the flow of life. See, when everything is flowing, though, according to our idea of what, you know, it should be, that we're fine. You know, we don't have anything, you know, we can get through that, but it's the moment that there is this lack of harmony, you know, things don't go our way, we start to tense up. We start to resist the moment. We feel frustrated, but it's our resistance to what's happening in the present moment that starts to intensify our distress. So, you know, whether it's getting a root canal or working on your teeth, you know, where it's a big thing, you know, in your life, a huge divorce or a financial problem, you know, whether you've lost our job, it's these frightening stories and the stuff we tell ourselves that really cause the distress within us. And I absolutely love what the Buddha said, and I got this out of David Rico's work. He said that in the Buddhist view that they believe there is just enough suffering and just enough joy in the world to awaken us. So it's like, what they believe is that we took on this beautiful, precious human birth, and it was an honor, right? It's an honor for us to get to be born. And with us came, like just say we're encased in a seedling, and in that came just the right amount of joy and just the right amount of suffering so that we can transform. So in each individual life, we have the right amount to center ourselves and to move forward in peace. In peace. See, that's what this is about. To transform us into really knowing who we are. That's what our whole journey in this life is about, is to wake up and to know the truth of who we are. And once we know the truth of who we are, nothing matters. Or everything matters. But it's just that we don't get stressed about it. Once we know the perfect blend of experiences, I absolutely love that. So that if we don't get it in one experience, right, in your life, so whatever you're going through right now, think about this. It's like they say, it's coded. Our life is coded in our challenges. You know, that's where the transformation is. So every one of us right now has a challenge. They have something going on in their life. You know, so with that challenge, on the back side of it, is the gift. With that challenge is the joy. So if you're suffering, know on the other side is a joy, and you just have to find it. It's all together. It's hooked together. And that's what this birth, they say, into this physical realm provides us. It's not easy, but that's what we chose. And each situation in our lives is unique to us. That's why I've had a lot of different challenges, even though some of them are similar, they're different than you have. And I've had the choice to wake up to it or not, and you have had the choice to wake up. So life is about choice. David Rico says, and if you have been with Common Ground for a while, you've heard us say this quite a bit, but I wanted to put these 5 basic challenges of life up. 5 basic things that he says are universal challenges that if we can find peace and joy, we can learn to embrace them and we can learn to embrace life. So there they are, the 5 things we cannot change. Who's read the book? Who knows the 5 things we cannot change? It's huge. First one, everything changes and ends. Boy, is that the case? Everybody can relate to that one? Everything changes and ends. Number 2, things don't always go according to plan. Boy, that's huge in my life. Huge. And sometimes it's all of these. Life's not always fair. Do you feel that sometimes it just doesn't seem fair? 4, pain is a part of life. It just is what life is. It's the suffering. There is pain, emotional pain. There's physical pain. That's life. That's life in the physical realm. And number 5, I love this one. People are not always loving and loyal all the time. Are they? You know, they just aren't. And sometimes we aren't always loving and loyal all the time. So within these challenges, you know, what's the code? You know, what code? What can you take in that there's a flip side? that you can transform and you can find the joy within that. You know, what do you need to change to find peace within you? See, every one of us could probably write a book on each one of these, of the things they've been through in their life. I know that we could, man. You know, and the truth is that all of the answers to all of these, all of it, lie in acceptance, lie in non-resistance. They lie in breathing into what is. What is. I accept the things I cannot change. We've heard that a lot. We've heard it a lot. But I like to take it a step further because sometimes I hear that. We accept the things we cannot change, and that means that because we can't change them, we have to accept them. And I don't know. I like to look at it that maybe that I accept the things I cannot change because we can transform with it. Maybe we look at our problems differently. Not that I just can't change it, so I have to accept them, but maybe we look at the challenges in our life as these things that we can use to transform us, can use to awaken us into a whole new life, into this whole new way of being. See, and these 5 things up here, I mean, they're huge. They're big things to accept, aren't they? You know, so I'm not saying that you take the first one. Everything changes and ends in our life. I'm not saying just accept it, right? That's all you have to do. What I want to talk about is accepting it in the moment. And that's why we talk about present so much. That's why our Eckhart Tolle class, you know, we really get into what the moment is, what the now moment is. Because when we talk about acceptance, we have to talk about it in increments, in the now moment. We accept this moment as it is. See? If you lost your job, you don't have to say, I accept that everything changes and ends. You have to take it a step by step by step. You know, moment by moment. What can you accept about that? I accept I lost the job. I accept that I'm feeling this right now. So it's accepting in the moment. Eckhart Tolle says that's how we transform, is that we accept it in the moment. And that, I love this. He says that the most important primordial relationship you will ever have is with the present moment. That's huge. That means that if your moment right now is filled with stress, your next moment probably will be too. And it's our choice then to awaken to the moment that you're feeling. What are you feeling? I think Judy said it in the meditation. You know, see how you're feeling right now. Is there a tense? Is there an irritation? Her voice irritates me. You know, I mean, if that's the case, then what you do is just accept it. You move on. But you accept that you're feeling that way. You know, if there's a judgment in there, right? So you accept the moment, because that moment, see, is the next moment, and the next moment, and that's life. Life is made of moments. And so this whole talk really is about accepting the moment that you're in. I think that's huge. He says that if our now moment, right now, is dysfunctional, so right now if you're really thinking somewhere out there and you're stressed about it, if that's dysfunctional, it will be reflected in every encounter after that until you wake up. So that means your whole day is going to be screwed up, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like I got up this morning and I spilled all of this coffee grinds all over it was early in the morning and I made this loud noise. I was hoping the kids didn't get up because I wanted the time alone. It was just a mess. And I was doing this talk and I thought, okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, it's accepting that moment. Big deal. I spilled the coffee, you know, all over the place. And I had to go and open the door and the alarm went off and it was just kind of, you know, one of those things. Okay, so it's like breathe in, you know, get centered, you know, it's just coffee. Feel how you're feeling. I was kind of stressed. I breathed in and then I went and got the broom, cleaned it up, and it was done, you know, and then I kind of dropped it. Now, that's what I'm talking about. It's the moment, you know, these little things that happen, but if you stress about it, then they add to it, you know, it's moment after moment after moment after moment. So if your moment is dysfunctional, it will be reflected in your next encounter. See, and if the moment is good, if you're having a centered moment, then the next moment, you know, life is made up of moments. I think that's really important. So you have to ask yourself, what kind of relationship do you want with life? You know, the most important relationship you'll ever have is that relationship with life. It's not with somebody else. It's with life itself, because if your relationship with the moment is good, then it will be good with everybody else. It will be good with yourself. So your relationship with the moment, that's huge here. If your relationship with the moment is good, your life, your next step is good. We have to make the decision over and over and over in our life. You know, the moment I spilled the coffee, I had to recharge, rethink. or it can affect the whole day. See, because what he says is that our internal process, this internal reality that we feel inside, affects everything outside, doesn't it? It's a reflection. See, how we see it, how we feel, not so much even how we think, but how we feel is reflected out there, comes back to us. We're going to find somebody else. If we have it inside here and we're crabby and we're irritable and we're judging, guess what? We're going to find it out in everybody else. And if we're centered and we feel peace and we love inside, we're going to see that in everybody else too. And it starts with feeling what you're feeling. It's not faking it and putting it down and pretending that you're feeling really happy when you don't. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about bringing it up, letting it dissipate, and then moving on with the peace that passes understanding. So how do you go beyond, this dysfunctional relationship with the now moment? This is what we talk about in Eckhart Tolle all the time. How do you do that? What in this now moment? How do you go beyond when you're feeling it? And he says the answer in all, actually, Michael Brown talks about it, Deepak Chopra talks about it. You know the answer, Bob, we talk about it all the time. It's awareness. You bring awareness to what's going on in your life. You step back for a moment and you check yourself. How you feeling? How am I feeling about this? See, bringing awareness to what's going on in your life actually changes your consciousness. It brings in a whole new consciousness. So instead of staying in the mess that you're in, you step back, bring awareness to the mess, and you shift. To be fully aware of the moment that you're in. So I invite you, just take a breath right now, in the quiet, and just check in with your body. See, it's another way to do it. See how you're feeling. Tense, or is it peaceful? Excited? See, knowing your feelings will help us unfold. It helps us unfold as people, as human beings. And it's not about, so many of us repress or we're possessed by these hurts that we have. But when we can feel, we can get past it. Life is about being able to feel it so that you know where you are. And so many of us, I really think it's true that so many of us don't let the feelings that we have take the full course. Because we want to feel the good, so I was that for years. I didn't want to feel the hurt in my life. And so those moments that I felt sad or filled with fear, when I felt that, I would push it down and say, I feel great. I feel pretty good. Nothing's going on in my life. Great husband? No, not. At the time, a lot of stuff going on, but you would not know it. I just smiled my way through it until it came to a point where I couldn't handle it any longer. And I had to feel the feelings until it had to come up and I could surrender and accept the moment. And that moment was a turning point in my life as I laid in bed and I just said, I can't do it anymore, God. Help me, universe. And at that moment, I remember that moment, I've talked about that before, where there was a space, and it was like a cradling of accepting the moment, and it was okay. It wasn't that big a deal anymore. There was like, in the space, there was like a presence of surrender and a peace there. And that's what all of the traditions tell us, that in this space, when we finally surrender in the space and in the quiet, that it's not filled with just blank, air, that in this formless stuff is the power of God, powers of the universe. So I was thinking about that moment, and I'm thinking about in our lives how there's so much of this, and I even, you want to get into quantum physics. I mean, I know you don't. So, but what I'm saying is in the air there is, the air, the formless acts upon the form. That's what they're finding out. Okay, you know what that means to me? The formless, which is the air, the power of God is right here. It acts upon the form, which is me. The power of God acts upon me. And the power of God has all these qualities. See, God qualities are intelligence and wisdom and kindness and love. It's like you got a team, right? You got a team inside of you. And it's filled. It's filled with the beauty of God. And when we can surrender, when we can just accept life and let it go, you've got the team with you. You're on God's team, so to speak. Does that make sense? And that's how we get by, that's how we surrender to the moment. We align with the universe. What aligning with the universe, all that means, you hear that all the time. Got to align with God, align with the universe. It's stepping into the present moment and letting the space of God work on you. It's not you in control anymore. It's not your ego trying to go it alone, trying to figure out your rotten marriage, right? It's not that anymore. It's a letting go and saying, I can't do it, God, anymore. I can't do it, and I need something bigger than me. And that's what we're surrendering to. It's not a give up. It's an aligning with the powers within you, the powers of the universe. And it starts with being aware of your feelings. I wasn't aware of them for a long time, so that's huge. Be aware of what you're feeling. Doesn't mean you have to camp out there forever. But what it does mean is that you have to touch base with what's going on in here. And be authentic with yourself about it. And maybe somebody else. And then as we start to step into that space, we start to develop in this relationship. I don't know. It's funny because when I was a kid, they called it a relationship with Jesus. But I don't think of it that way. I think that after you have lived in that space for a little while, that you develop this conscious relationship with the presence. So it's like you have this presence with you all the time. And it's like a loving, benevolent presence that goes before you, that makes your path maybe easier, but it doesn't butt in. You have to ask, right? That's the power of God. It doesn't really interfere until we say help, or we surrender, or we let go of our own ego. And that same presence is the same presence that is in you, and you, and you, and in everything. The same presence lives in all of us. And it enables us to move through our life with ease. It allows us to move into a state of being. Last week in Eckhart Tolle we talked about the state of pleasure and pain, that's life. There's pleasure, high pleasure, and then there's the pain, just what it is. It's the joys and the sorrows, but we can move beyond it to a place of beingness, to a place of peace. And that's the intention, is to be able to live your life in this place of peace, this place of love. Life is hard. Life is not easy. But if we can take it moment by moment and tap in to something that is so incredible, we can get through it with joy. We can love the life that we were given. We can love the life that we were given, no matter what. See? Everything you're going through is your opportunity to evolve one step further, to become a better you. So, if you are in the saddle the wrong way, now's the time to turn around. Now's the time to turn around. Now. You get what I said? Now. N-O-W. Right in this moment. Turn around. Let life lead you. Don't try to lead the life. Let go. Let something bigger. Let something bigger transform you and walk you. The acceptance, the Latin word for acceptance, I love this, is to rest in. It's called acquiesce, I think, and it's to rest in. And I love that idea. So for all of us, this is my prayer for all of us, is that we rest. We rest in God. Rest in acceptance.